Welcome back to the programme. We're going to go back to one of our top stories now. A Pakistani doctor who was the key to finding Osama bin Laden looks set to spend the rest of his life in jail. Pakistan's authorities have accused him of helping militants and arrested him soon after the US operation in May 2011. Two US presidents so far have promised to get him released, but it's now been 7 years. And joining me live now is JAVED RANA, an expert on political and geostrategic issues. Thanks for joining us here on the programme, JAVED. To the Americans, he was a hero who helped to hunt down and kill Osama bin Laden, and to the Pakistanis, he was a villain who betrayed his country. In your opinion, do you believe Pakistani authorities are holding Shakil Afridi on legitimate legal grounds?
I think it's a question of the sovereignty of Pakistan. I think that was a precise reason because of which he was not handed over to the Americans. Now here, it is not the question that on whether or not he helped the Americans in locating Osama bin Laden. Pakistani establishment see it that it was an attack on Pakistan's intelligence and the military, because that man was not supposed to provide any assistance to the American CIA. In locating Osama bin Laden, he launched a fake vaccination campaign. And afterwards, I think Pakistan launched a crackdown against international NGOs in Pakistan. Now there's far more strict scrutiny of these NGOs, and there is a strong perception, and also, by the way, intelligence by with Pakistan military, which suggests that many NGOs, like Save the Children, they were a sort of cover which were working for American CIA. So at one particular point of time, Save the Children office was shut down, and many other NGOs offices were shut down. So Pakistan basically see it as a bigger game plan by Americans to set up a footprint of its intelligence, and that is what Pakistan has been trying to contain it.
Javed, you mentioned a bigger game plan. If we look at the situation now, the US is suspending security assistance to Pakistan worth around $2 billion after President Trump accused Islamabad of refusing to crack down on terrorism. Could the US decision to withhold financial support to Pakistan compromise efforts to release Afridi?
I don't think Pakistan would ever come to a point where they can release him. The reason being is quite simple, because China has invested $56 billion in this one of the prime projects. So Pakistan is no longer financially dependent on Americans as it used to be 10 years ago or 5 years ago. Situation is fast changing in Pakistan. And I think that is something also explained by Pakistan's army chief. They are saying that we are no longer dependent on American aid. We don't need it. We need the trust of Americans. Pakistan has been saying that tens of thousands of Pakistani people have been killed in American war on terror, and they cannot afford to be part of this war if Americans continue to show signs of belligerence. And Pakistan says that, in fact, it is a victim of terrorism. So there's a lot of blame game going on between two countries. But at the heart of the entire border tension between two countries is the militants. Pakistan believes that Americans and the Indians, they are sponsoring militancy inside Pakistan. And the Americans are blaming that in one way or the other, the Taliban have sanctuaries on Pakistani side of the border. I think I really doubt that Pakistan would ever listen to the Americans when it comes to their strategic interests.
Well, what's gone wrong, though, Javed, with the US-Pakistani relationship? I mean, it seems to have deteriorated since Trump took office. What's gone wrong, in your opinion?
I think Americans are completely caught in Afghanistan. There is undeclared defeat at the hands of Taliban. Americans are not ready to accept it. Taliban are controlling much of Afghanistan, and now they are shifting blame onto Pakistan, and Pakistan says that we are not responsible for the mess that the American is inside Afghanistan. Now, in one way or the other, Americans are trying to pressurize Pakistan to a tipping point where they can produce Afghan Taliban on negotiating table and win a war which they have lost in the battlefield. I really doubt the Americans would be able to win this war at the table with in any possible negotiations with Afghan Taliban.
OK, JAVED RANA there, an expert on political and geostrategic issues. Thanks very much for coming onto the programme.